Okay, quick update on the corn blocks. This is the first planting of corn with the chicken tractor. These did not get enough moisture or nutrition early on. There are some small ears coming on. I've nibbled on a few here and there. Not expecting a lot from it, but I'm not mowing it under because I can still use it for the photosynthetic effect to help build soil and sequester carbon. So I'm still foliar feeding it and accelerating that process, and we'll just be basically using it to build the soil up for next year. And next year I will know that I need to have more moisture available and better nutrition in this block. This next block was doing really horrible. This was double standard, so I mowed it under last night, and I'm going to seed this with buckwheat and scratch till it in here and let this fill with buckwheat and let these Delicata Squash kind of fill over this space and have a little more access to sunlight. Our sunlight kind of comes up and around and down like that right now, so it comes across the block, and as the corn gets tall it will start to block some out. So it was all grown in with these weeds here in amongst the double standard corn, so I just mowed everything short and we'll buckwheat it, and that'll help block those weeds out and build soil, and it'll provide a honey crop for the bees, and it'll help provide a cover crop that the squash can kind of climb across also, and keep the levels a little lower vertically, so more sunlight can get to the squash to help ripen and keep setting fruit that are growing all over the place in here. I guess we'll just show you some of these. Yeah, all through there. So this was the first direct sow planting of Delicata Squash. A lot of those did not germ. There's about 6 plants in here, I think, or maybe 7, maybe as many as 8, but not many plants germed in here. This was 2 rows, 6 foot apart. I think I did 2 foot spacing on the seeding. Early on, it was soil was still kind of cool. We did not have a lot of moisture in the soil, so it wasn't the best germination conditions. But they're doing well now. They've had good foliar feeds, and I did mulch them heavily. You can see all this heavy grass mulch underneath, and that helped retain the moisture that they needed to get them up and performing. I've also been irrigating during the drier spells we've had. This is Bodacious sweet corn, and you can see we're getting into a little better nutrition block here, and this is doing a little bit better. This will actually produce some decent sweet corn. That's been in foliar feeds also. All of this has, actually. And I should mention, I said in one other video that this was 1,000 square feet in this whole block, but it's not. It's much bigger than that. It's 2,500 square feet. It is 100 feet long that way, and then 25 feet wide this way. Anyway, so double standard sweet corn here, doing much better and a little better nutrition. Still not a super performer yet, but we'll see how that works out later in the season. This is the second planting of direct sown Delicata Squash. I planted these much denser. I got mulch on them much earlier, better feeds, better nutrition, etc. They are really cranking. I did not do any thinning in here, so there's probably 25 or 30 plants packed in this one little grow space in here. So they are just blowing up all over the place. But it's great because it's going to be absolutely full of food in here. So that's awesome. And it's really holding down the mulch and the moisture and the weeds, and really sequestering a tremendous amount of sunlight. If you look at that from a solar panel perspective, which is basically what it is, those things are just really cranking. And when you mix those with the sweet corn, boy, you get a nice soil pump action, so to speak. This is the double standard in the third planting. This is doing pretty well, tasseling a little early, but definitely doing much better than the previous plantings were. I got that nutrition down and moisture down a little better. This last block is buckwheat that I saved from 2017. That was grown over here. I probably will replant this to buckwheat shortly. And then the upper part of this was what I had the remainder of sweet corn left. I had enough for 1 row of Bodacious on top, and 3 rows of the double standard, and there's also a row of borage in here. And then the rest of this I just seeded heavily to buckwheat. And if you see these weeds here, these are pretty heavy competitive, and you can see they put out a really huge amount of seed when they go to seed. So they were growing up in here real heavy, so I mowed it down. I seeded with buckwheat, and then I just scratch-tilled it in with the tiller just to kind of drill the seed in, basically. And then I've done some foliar feeds and drenches and inoculants to make this just really take off and blow up. And you can see that this buckwheat is very quickly out-competing those other weeds. This is that weed, that same weed, when it's young. And normally these come up and they take over an area very quickly. But the buckwheat is such a fast germinator and such a broadleaf crop that it's filling right in here. So this is an excellent way to knock out weeds and build soil with a foliar or a forage crop that you can foliar feed and accelerate if you want, and also get a honey crop out of it as well, and a seed or grain crop if that's what you're after with it. It's about 40 or 50 days to flower, I think, and about 70 to 90 days to dry mature seed. Anyway, excellent cover crop to work with. I picked up 5 more pounds of that at Agway, and I'm going to do some of these other strips here. I'm going to do this strip there, and a couple of spots up in the upper section as well as a late honey crop for the honeybees. So I think that's it for this part of the farm tour, homestead tour, whatever, and we'll close it out. Anyway, that's what's going on. Hope you found this interesting or informative. If you have any questions or comments, please do so down below. Thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe if that's your thing. Thanks for watching.